Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Tyvis Powell, Jason Lloyd. Plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
And welcome, everybody. It's a Black Friday edition, the first ever, because I don't think we were on last year. Were we on Black Friday? Or did we do a show from home, maybe?
I think it was a remote show.
Yeah.
It was a home show?
Yeah.
Was it? Okay. The first ever in-studio Black Friday edition of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. A lot to get to today. Obviously, the Browns have the big game this weekend against Denver. We'll recap Thursday's football. DTR. Can we get the best out of them? I don't know. We'll see if we can get the best out of these guys. G. Bush, hey, I know you're dealing with some neck issues, but you're playing through the pain today.
Yeah, man. It's just, still sharp. Still ready to go.
How was your Thanksgiving?
It was good. It was good. I went to Canton. My cousin had Thanksgiving. It was her first Thanksgiving. As we go, we kind of moved around. It's usually at my grandmother's house. She passed away a couple years ago. Then it was at my mom's house last year, and then the COVID thing happened. So she got the first kind of like the real Thanksgiving after everybody came back to together and stuff. So it was really nice.
How many people?
Ooh, in and out, I would say maybe 100 or so.
Oh my God, 100?
I mean, we have a very large family.
Wow.
My mom got 8 brothers and sisters. My dad has 11 brothers and sisters.
Oh my God.
That's a lot of turkey.
So, yeah, but it was waves. People just brought it in and we just ate. So it was cool. I stopped in yesterday. I was I had to leave because everybody wanted to try to play doctor on me. They're like, oh, your neck is hurting. They're like, yeah, let me go ahead and put this back grease on it. Nah, bro, I don't want no back grease on my neck, bro. They leave me alone. Icy hot, the sticking needles. No, I'm cool. I'm just go home.
Jason, how about you? Nice Thanksgiving.
Yeah, we did the turkey trot in Avon yesterday morning, my whole family, me and the wife and kids. And I joked with you guys on the text chain.
Yeah.
So we're jogging. It's a 5K. We're jogging. And I'm in better shape than you think. I really am. But we're jogging in this 5K. And first, this woman passes me pushing the baby stroller. I'm like, well, that sucks. And I'm jogging, running. This woman comes up on my left. Twins! 2 kids pushing the stroller and passing me.
She's in great shape.
Oh, just runs right by me. And I'm like, you know what? I'm done. I'm going to go have some pumpkin pie now.
It's amazing. These women that, they have a baby and, a week later, they're
superpowers, man. It's superpowers.
And they make these strollers built for running.
Oh, yeah.
But it's unbelievable to watch these women pushing kids and running past my fat ass.
Jason, I got a spin zone for you. The running strollers are designed to break the wind. So that's actually easier, no wind resistance, because the strollers are designed to kind of funnel the wind out.
In that case, I'm going to go get one.
So you should buy yourself a stroller.
You're saying it makes them faster?
I'm saying it makes it easier to run because the stroller is designed to literally part the wind. It's like drafting in NASCAR.
Well, I think
the runner's drafting behind the stroller.
I hear you, but I think that's inaccurate because my wife actually did it when our kids were small.
Yeah.
She was running with them, and then she ran without it. She's like, wow, this is much easier when you're running
without. Yeah, I think you're out of your mind.
Without pushing a stroller.
As someone that's never had a child, you don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Jason, how about you buy a stroller? You could push Anthony and Earl around, see if you're faster.
That's crazy.
I will donate and volunteer my 2 APs.
I mean, that would be pretty funny.
That'd be content.
I ain't changing their diapers. I'll tell you that right now.
That's funny.
That costs extra.
And
That's
real
funny.
quick, I want to give a shout out to my brother Ryan, who was hanging Christmas lights yesterday. Had a horrible accident at his house. He's in ICU, fell and broke his ribs, fell off the roof, broke his ribs. Cracked his sternum. He's in rough shape, so I'm going to see him.
Get
after
better,
this,
Brian. Ryan.
Yeah, get better, buddy.
Oh my
Hope
God.
you feel better. I'm coming to see you after.
That is a mess.
Yeah, he's in
Just
bad shape.
hire somebody to put up the Christmas lights for crying out loud.
Yeah, we just had that at our house.
Yeah.
You know what they want to string lights?
It's a lot of money.
How big's your house? Oh, I've seen your house. It's a decent sized house, but not crazy. $1,000.
That's exactly right. They
Yeah.
want $1,000 to hang Christmas
How
lights.
long of a job is that for them?
I don't know, but like because they said like we'll store the lights, we cut the lights to length and everything. We'll hang them, we'll pull them down, we'll store them for you. You don't have to mess with them at all. I can't justify spending $1,000 for 2 months. For 2 months of lights.
No.
Like, no, I'll just do it myself. But now I'm looking up there going, I don't really want to do that.
Maybe just put them at the level you can reach up to, and that's it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I just do only inside game. Outside game might not be for me.
Yeah, that's complicated.
That might not be for the Bush household. That just,
Yesterday was not a great day of football. None of the games were great. The highlight really of yesterday was Dolly Parton. Let's face it.
I slept through it.
You did, but Twitter and the internet were bananas for Dolly Parton. Like, nobody agrees on anything. We're in camps for everything except Dolly Parton. Everybody loves Dolly Parton. Doesn't matter. Nothing else matters.
She's 80.
How old was she, Mike? We looked it up.
77.
And I saw Reflog tweets how many people are looking up her age, and Mike and I had just Googled it. 77.
Crazy.
And then we got this from Mary Kay.
This was amazing.
This is the real Mary Kay, by the way. This is confirmed.
When I first saw this tweet, I thought it was fake. Mary Kay sitting on the couch watching some football like a big stuffed turkey, and then Dolly happened. Hopped on the treadmill, booked a consultation for implants, and reassessed my life goals. Hashtag LFGO. Mary Kay's the best. Yeah. The personality is really coming out on Mary Kay the last couple of years. I love it.
And to put her in the Hall of Fame already, ain't nothing they can do.
I'm
already famous, bro.
That's a championship level tweet right there. She's playing chess and we're playing checkers. I'll tell you.
Facts.
You guys have known, real quick, guys, one question, we'll dive into topics, but you guys have known Mary Kay much longer than I have.
Sure.
Has UCSS and her appearances around us brought out some more of the personality side of Mary Kay? Because even from her first hits last year to now, I feel like I've seen a little bit more. She shows a little more personality.
She's gotten more comfortable, but she goes on with the morning show on the Fan, and they've brought personality out of her. A lot of people in this business steal credit, so I don't want to do that. I feel like they brought it. I think we've added to it, but I feel like they
Earl
brought
wants
it
to
out.
chime in on this. Hold
So,
on.
boy, we periodically have Mary Kay on a barbershop on Saturdays, and I remember one particular Saturday. I play all the hip-hop and R&B music beds coming back, and G asked her who did she listen to a lot, and her, believe it or not, her favorite rapper is Nicki Minaj. She said she listened to Nicki Minaj every day.
She's got young kids too, younger. In the 20s.
Right.
So
I gave her 3 extra credit
Mary
points.
Kay's awesome. Yeah. Anyway, so the football itself wasn't great, but now we got another game today. It's so bizarre that there's a game at 3 o'clock this afternoon.
That one snuck up on me. I didn't even realize it.
First ever Black Friday
night when
game.
I woke up.
Yeah. Dolphins, Jets. And then, of course, we move to Sunday where the Browns will play the Broncos. And we'll send it to Mike, who was at my house for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, thank you again, Bull. Yeah. Very nice situation. You have a great family. Aaron's here with us today.
Yep.
Your wife could not be nicer, and it's really good food. So appreciate you taking me in yesterday.
Yep.
We're going to get into topics today, but first, FanDuel is America's #1 sports book, and if you're looking to score early this NFL season, you better be doing it with FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. So if you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time than right now to get in on the action. The app is simple to use, and they have a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and much, much more. So visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to kick off the NFL season. That is FanDuel.com/UCSS. FanDuel, an official partner of the NFL, an official partner of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. And I have gotten so many winning FanDuel tickets over the last few days. We're going to feature 2 today. The first one comes from Robert W. Chasing, who turned $4.30 into $518 on a Tuesday night 6-part same-game parlay. He had Trae Young over 30 points, Halliburton over 12 assists, Maxey over 30 points, Yusuf Nurkic over 15 points, and Austin Reeves over 15 points. All that hit, and my guy Robert turned $4.30 into $518. If you have a winning FanDuel ticket,
I didn't know you could bet change.
You can bet anything you want.
It's really amazing.
It's
you do whatever
incredible.
you want.
That could be sometimes you have $4.30 left in your account. You throw it on a crazy parlay, and you wake up the next day with $518. So if you have a winning ticket, tweet it at me, at Mike Lucas TV, at UCSS. Email it to us, and we will feature it on the show at some point. But congratulations. That's a hell of a win there for Robert.
For the Browns at the Broncos, the latest spread at FanDuel, the Broncos are favored by 1.5. The Broncos opened as a 1.5-point favorite. They actually went up to a 2.5-point favorite, and then on Wednesday, I believe, it went back to 1.5, and it stayed there. The over/under is 36.5 on the game. It's a weird thing that's happening now for Browns fans. You know the expression act like you've been there before. Mm-hmm. Nick Chubb scores a touchdown, hands the ball, we're all like, you act like you've been there before. This is a new experience for Browns fans being a good team. Most fans here haven't experienced the Browns being a good team, and there's things that fans are not used to. Like there's a lot of trash talking going on from Browns fans to other fan bases, and I think we're preemptive with that. I think we're a little preemptive.
Have you seen that with the Broncos? Like, is that a thing?
No, it's more like the Steelers fans and Ravens fans.
Okay.
I'm like, I get it. We beat them, but we got to do more than just win a regular season game. We got to, but whatever. People are excited. I love that. But the really weird thing is, and this always happens to teams that are unexpectedly better and, like for the first time in a while. And every time when the Browns are an underdog in a game, or if somebody out there predicts that the Browns are going to lose, people get personally offended by that. And I don't understand that.
Like if you're saying like, okay, you're saying the Browns are, people think the Browns are going to win, but if somebody says, oh, well, look, I think the Broncos are playing at home, I'm going to go with the Broncos.
Yeah,
like,
people are pissed.
You're trash. How dare you?
Which is crazy. Because, I think
NFL, really good teams lose every week.
Every week?
The Chiefs lose.
Yeah.
Multiple times a year.
The Lions have been one of the best teams in football. They looked awful yesterday.
Yeah, they did. Which is unusual because normally they're pretty good on Thanksgiving.
The Lions?
Yeah. They look better.
I don't know what you've been watching.
No, I've seen them in terrible years where they're 2-8 going into that game, and they play their butts off.
But they did not play well yesterday. No. They were awful in the first. Jared Goff has been the mess the last 2 weeks. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, the point is, it's okay. It's not enough. Nobody's trying to piss you off by picking. Sometimes you think the other team's going to win. You can't pick. Even us, we can't pick the. Well, maybe G, but you can't pick the Browns to win every week.
You picked them to lose one game, didn't you?
I picked them to lose Seattle.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You were right by that. Yeah. But I'm saying, like, just and because somebody's picking your team to lose doesn't mean they're rooting for your team to lose, right? So anyway.
Let's get to the first topic though today, guys.
Yeah.
DTR will be making his second real start. We could throw Baltimore out the window.
You can't say that. It's his third start.
Yeah.
I'm considering this the second real start. Baltimore, I don't consider a real start.
Acknowledge that he was put in a tough spot, but it's still his third start.
Well, it's the second start of his iteration as a Browns starting quarterback tenure.
In this
so
iteration.
Whatever. We could argue minutiae of how you want to.
We won't argue about that. Go ahead.
This is his. Okay, third start. Whatever. You win, Bull. It's his third start. You're right. It technically is his third start, but I don't look at it like that. But either way, we saw it last week, and G said it on Monday's postgame show. The Browns played a dangerous game against Pittsburgh, and they played it beautifully. And now that's on tape. So looking ahead, Denver knows what they did with DTR, how Kevin Stefanski designed plays. 39 of his 43 passes were within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage. They're going to have their adjustments. So how does Kevin Stefanski in this Browns offense adjust? And I'll use the word unlock or unleash. How does the Browns offense adjust to unlock DTR against Denver?
Well, before we get to that, guys, in the same vein, do we think they have to? Like, can the Browns win against Denver exactly the same way? Or is Mike right? Do they need to unlock him or whatever you want to call it to a certain degree? Is he going to have to play better or can he play the same for them to win? G, go ahead.
I think he has to play better. I think Denver is a good enough defense where they'll get turnovers. You take a look at their turnovers that they've had so far against the Buffalo Bills. They had some turnovers. They got turnovers against the Vikings. Both of those teams have been playing better. And when I look at this game, I think DTR, he can't come out and just have the game where he hopes to get the ball at the last part of the fourth quarter and come up with some heroics. I think there's a expiration date on that type of stuff. As you play more games, there's more of a sample size. People get comfortable with what you do best. They take that away, and you have to at least make one adjustment. If the Browns want to make a sustained run, they're gonna have to reinvent themselves a few more times. They're gonna have to reinvent themselves with DTR. find something that they can really hang their hat on. If they get that, and then once they get to the playoffs, they're going to have to reinvent themselves again, too, because at that point, you're playing against good defenses, solid coaches. So I do think they're going to have to do some other things. I think they're either going to have to let him throw the ball downfield a little earlier in this game, or they're going to have to bring the factor of his legs into play. They haven't done that so much. I think either one of those things has to happen for them to, continue the win streak.
Jason?
If I'm Denver, I'm watching the second half of that Browns-Steelers game and basing my entire defensive scheme off that second half. The Browns didn't score until the last drive, kicking the field goal on the last drive in the second half, because the Steelers knew they weren't going to throw the ball down the field at that point. They're sitting on the routes, they're putting 8, even 9 in the box and saying, go ahead, we dare you to throw deep. Now, what makes Kevin great as a play caller is the things that kind of drive people nuts, including me. You think he's going here, we're going there. You bring Harrison Bryant in to sneak. Okay, we might sneak, but we're also going to pitch it wide on fourth down. Bringing Jacoby Brissett in on a sneak on fourth down. You think we're going to sneak it? Nope, we're throwing it to the end zone at Cincinnati. That part was missing in the second half last week. They did exactly what you thought they were going to do the entire time. And we've talked about, deep shots. I thought at some point, I was texting with our subscribers, and I was telling them it's coming. They're going to throw a deep shot at some point, and it never came. It's going to have to at some point. We've talked for weeks about if you're going to win this way, it's heavy, it's jumbo sets, it's extra offensive linemen, it's screen passes, it's running the ball, but it's also play action and taking deep shots on third down. That's the part we didn't really see last week. That's the part I think that they're going to have to incorporate at some point. Otherwise, it's going to be a lot more of what we saw in the second half, where defenses just don't fear you. And at some point, you have to make them respect the fact that you will go down the field and you will stretch the field. It doesn't have to be every time. It's funny because if you go back to the DTR first start that Mike doesn't want to acknowledge, that's all they did was take deep shots and chunk plays down the field. We didn't see it at all against Pittsburgh. There's got to be a balance in there. There has to be a happy medium. Just don't turn the ball over. That's the whole thing with me. Just don't turn it over. I don't care what your numbers are at the end. I don't care what your completion percentage is. If you throw for 160, 165 yards, you can win as long as there's a 0 in that turnover column. And they got away with one last week. It was off a deflection. I don't know how much you want to put on that on him or not. Just don't turn it over. Keep everything in front of you, and you can win this game. But I do think eventually you have to loosen up that defense, and you do have to take some sort of shot down the field.
Go ahead,
I just want to say, it's not that I don't want to admit the start happened. I know it happened. I just don't think I learned anything about DTR, and I refuse to think I know anything about his future, what he can or can't do based on that game.
And that's
because
fair.
of how the week
I
played
agree.
out.
That's fair.
I think there's a difference between don't hold that game against him and he didn't play in that game.
Okay, fair. It did happen. Here,
It never happened.
Just like we could all agree Bigfoot's not real, we could all agree that DTR ver's Baltimore in week 4 did happen.
There's thousands of people out there, millions probably, that think Bigfoot's real, but those people are insane. What a shocker. We never fought my son. He thinks Bigfoot's real. There you go. So they're in that group, but you're allowed to. You're a kid. Let me get into this here with the Broncos, and absolutely DTR's got to do a little more in this game. They have to. I was fine with the game plan last week because the Steelers' offense is completely inept, and the Steelers couldn't prepare for that type of offense for the whole game. They adjusted in the second half, but the Browns were able to score 10 points in the first half because at the time the Steelers didn't know going into the game. Well, the Broncos are going into this game saying, hey, we're getting 8 guys in the box. We're not going to let them run. He's going to try to dink and dunk. We're not going to let him win that way. So you're going to have to try to go over the top some. Now, as Jason said, and I agree 100%, it can't be what it was against the Ravens. You can't be throwing deep all the time. And I think even more importantly than him having better numbers is the running game being more effective. And the running game will be more effective, most likely, if you take some deep shots, because that will loosen things up in the middle. The Broncos are a fascinating team because everything about them is average. They're not terrible at anything, but they're not very good at anything.
Medium sauce.
Their whole roster is a bunch of medium sauce players.
Medium sauce.
And but a medium sauce team has they have the longest winning streak in the NFL right now. So, and they're at home. I think this is a 50-50 game. This game's a toss-up. It's a 1.5-point spread for a reason. This game's a toss-up. And so, yes, DTR is going to have to get you a little more. And I think the way to unlock that is, A, take some deep shots, and B, run the ball effectively. I think the Browns early in this game are going to have to be creative in how they run the ball, because the Broncos are going to basically go into this game saying, hey, we're not going to let you run. DTR's got to beat us. And we don't know yet if he can.
And you know, even when DTR drops back, if there's nothing there, I wouldn't mind just him take it off and get it 2, 3, 4 yards.
They should have some designed runs for him.
Yes.
Period.
Yeah.
I mean,
he had a few of those last week.
Right.
You talk about a dangerous game. You already lost
that's
one
true.
quarterback.
That's true, and he is so tiny.
He's not very big.
Yeah.
And so I think you really need to be strategic and limit when you want.
That's fair.
When you're calling called runs for him, because now you're down to, if he goes down, you're down to P.J. Walker or Joe Flacco, who just got here.
I like called runs in short yardage and goal line.
Yeah.
And at least that way you get 5 or 6 yards. Heck, I even seen I was watching the Washington Cowboys game, and they ran speed option. I was like, okay, I like that play. At least you can get down. It's only a few yards to the end zone. You either make it or you don't, and you can run it again. So yeah, I wouldn't mind, but I don't want to see anything crazy in the middle of the field or around the 50s, because I mean he got lit up against the first time he played the Ravens. Oh my gosh.
Is Flacco? We don't know yet if Flacco is going to be. Technically, Flacco's on the practice squad right now, isn't he?
To my understanding, he has not yet been elevated.
Well, he has to be.
But he's on the practice squad.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
So he'd have to be elevated by tomorrow.
Well, they have to put him on the 53 in order to make him the third string quarterback for Sunday.
Unless he's going to be the 2.
And again, he'd have to be on the 53.
Right.
So they'd have to get him on the 53 by today.
By tomorrow. Oh, I thought it was tomorrow. Well, whatever. It's sometime soon.
Yeah.
They'd have to add him to the roster. But
are we sure that I thought that it was the case? Are we sure that they would be Flacco now?
No.
This early? Just over
He
PJ
just
Walker?
got here.
I don't know. I don't think we know. I think we'll find out on Sunday. Yeah. Well, we'll find out either today or tomorrow if he's added to the called up from the practice squad.
Right.
But the third quarterback can come into the game if he's on the 53, but he doesn't have to be active. He doesn't have to be one of the 45 actives. But you got to be on the 53.
Correct.
So, but we'll see if
and once that emergency quarterback goes in, the other two are not allowed to go.
Right.
This is weird. Have you ever seen a team like 7-3 is a nice story. If you win this week on the road and go to 8-3, now there's just it's more of a thing. Like, have you ever seen a team be 8-3 with the names they have at quarterback? Like, you got a veteran that's 40 that you picked up off the street. You got a guy in DTR who's played 3 games, and you got a journeyman PJ Walker, and the team is literally. How do you plan around that? Like, that's like, you can't.
I'm sure it's happened. It's not hard. Nothing's coming to me off the top of my head. It is a weird situation.
I haven't seen that where you have no. It's a huge question mark at quarterback, and they continue to win football games. Yeah. I haven't seen that in such a long time.
I'm trying to look at the teams that are leading their divisions.
I mean, last year the Niners had a ton of injuries at quarterback.
Yeah,
but the talent.
That's true. I mean,
but their talent was a lot better than what the Browns have, especially offensively.
Yes.
Right. But going into the season, if you would have said Brock Purdy is going to be their playoff in the quarterback, in the playoffs, you would have said, "What are you out of your mind?"
Yeah.
Now he's somewhere between the 7th and 15th best quarterback.
So it's weird. Like I was watching the games and I just I didn't have any context because I couldn't definitively say the Browns were better than any other teams. Usually we compare the Browns to teams we watch it and you're like, oh, the Browns they get smashed by this team. I didn't have any context for it. I just don't know because I don't know what the Browns are going to do week to week.
I think the last 2 weeks have gotten everyone's attention in terms of the Browns. I don't think winning in Denver will add to their profile any more than these last 2. Beating Baltimore and Pittsburgh in back-to-back weeks, I think everyone else around the country is saying, okay, what's going on in Cleveland? Like, this is no longer like they're the Browns. We don't have to worry about them.
Yeah.
I think these last 2 weeks, when you combine that with San Francisco, but beating Baltimore and Pittsburgh, I mean, I was saying just get a split. Just split those two, and you're okay. I never dreamed realistically that you would win both of those. So I think around the country, it's these last 2 that have made people stand up and take notice.
Well, because I think, any of us that are old enough, which the 3 of us are, we remember a day where you could win with minimal quarterback play
sure.
if you had a great defense.
Yeah.
Don Strock won games for the Browns.
I mean, you those days are, but now it seems like it's been a long time since you've been able to win that way. And I think a lot of people are thinking, like, how far can the Browns go? They've got the best defense. I think everybody acknowledges that the Browns defense is the best in the league.
I saw something. I've been trying to find it.
Yeah.
I wish I'd have marked it. Yesterday on Twitter, I saw something. There was a scatter chart about the Browns and Broncos, and the Browns defense is in the far upper right tier, as high as you can go, and the Broncos is in the lowest possible.
I know what you did. I saw that.
Yeah.
It
Saw
was
it?
in terms of
Success rate defensively or
The
something.
Yeah.
analytics
rate
are not
defense-
kind to the Broncos.
no. Well, the whole, and we'll get to this in the 5-pack and McNuggets.
Yeah.
But how much Miami skewed all the Denver metrics, but
Yeah.
it was in terms of success combined with their conversion rate. So how often they got teams on the field in the first 4 plays.
So you saw what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes,
it could
and-
not be more.
Right.
I thought I marked it because I wanted to send it to you, but at least you saw it.
Yeah, so Cleveland is, and I'm sure I can find it. I'll pull it up in a sec. But Cleveland is, since the tracking era started of it, I believe the highest conversion rate on getting teams off the field within the first, not 3 and out, but
Yeah.
within the first 4 plays. And Denver is dead last.
the
Denver only
worst.
had 1 3 and out in like a 2-week stretch.
Yeah, they've forced a lot of turnovers the last bunch of weeks, which has obviously helped them.
And that goes back to the stat we were talking about Monday
Right.
that I think Mike's got again.
Right.
gonna mention
But
that again later, yeah.
The Broncos are one of the worst run defenses in the league. And we've had these debates about the running game. The Browns got to be able to run in this game.
Yes.
But one of the things, I was just trying to think if there's another playoff team that's got a messy quarterback situation. And there is. Minnesota right now is a playoff team with Josh Dobbs as their
Yeah.
quarterback.
Go figure.
He's their third quarterback, too. Because obviously Cousins gets hurt, and then Jaron Hall, who was a rookie on their team, started the first game after they traded for Dobbs. Now, Dobbs may have eventually been the starter anyway, but they did draft Jaron Hall. Then he got hurt in the first game he played. That's when Dobbs took over.
Why is it to me like? Why do I feel like? I don't know. This might not be true. I don't feel like Dobbs is not much of a question mark. Like I guess you
I don't know. I think Dobbs is, I know he's done a decent job this year.
Maybe because he played for like 3 teams and they
yeah, I
keep
mean, he's
picking
played
him
all
up.
season. That's
But
why it
that's
doesn't
why,
feel
like,
like as big a question
yeah,
mark.
yeah.
But
He's freaking brilliant. Like, he's got to be the smartest quarterback in the league. Just
got
in terms
to.
of processing.
Just for picking up playbooks.
Well, he's like an actual IQ. Take football out of the equation. I mean, he was a rocket scientist
Right.
at Tennessee and went back and finished his rocket scientist degree. I don't even know what the actual degree is, but
yeah, you're not obviously
Rocket
not a rocket
Scientology.
scientist.
I'll look it up. I'm not a rocket scientist. I can assure you that.
But no, his ability to process quickly, obviously, like he's brilliant.
Aerospace engineering, by the
Look
way.
at that.
I still think there's not a ton of tape on him. Obviously, every week
Yeah.
adds a little bit more. I mean, he could be the Jacoby Brissett of this offseason, where
Right.
he could be parlay this into a starting job next year for
Yeah,
a low-level
maybe.
team.
I
Possibly.
mean, right now there's so many teams with bad quarterback situations. Who knows?
And I told you this stat yesterday, Bull, and Jason and G. I'm not sure if you heard this, but only 5 teams in the NFL have not put their starting quarterback on the injury report this season. 27 of the 32 teams. Doesn't mean they necessarily haven't played in games,
Right.
but have had their quarterback on the injury report. Only 5 teams
Shut up.
through essentially the halfway point, a little past halfway, but
Yeah.
we're not in week 18 or week 16 yet, have had their quarterback on the injury
Well,
report.
how many teams have played 2 quarterbacks? Or have had a quarterback at least leave a game for an injury? It's got to be more than half the league.
I'll count them right now. So
You know, I know Geno's played every game for Seattle, but he left the last game, and he looked like a mess yesterday. He looked
you want
terrible.
to go through it real quick?
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
got you right here. So Tua has not been on the injury report yet. So
Okay.
Tua, shockingly, with all his concussion history,
Right.
he's one of the 5.
Although
that
he's
has
not playing that well since the last
lately.
the last
No,
few
but he
weeks.
has not showed up on the injury report.
No.
Josh Allen has not come out of a game yet.
Yep.
Right.
The Jets have played multiple quarterbacks.
Yep.
The Patriots have played multiple
So
quarterbacks.
that's 2.
Lamar Jackson.
Although the Patriots have played multiple quarterbacks because their quarterback sucks. I don't think Mac Jones has actually gotten hurt.
he is not. So he's actually one of those 5 teams.
Yeah.
But them just had multiple quarterbacks.
Right,
They've
right.
played multiple. Lamar has played all season.
Yep.
The Browns have played multiple. The Bengals have played multiple.
Steelers have.
Steelers have played
So that's
multiple.
5 out of 8 that have played multiple so far.
Jacksonville has not. It's only been Trevor Lawrence. C.J. Stroud has not.
Yep.
It's only been C.J. Stroud. Well, he came out for 2 plays, but I'm not counting that.
No, that doesn't count. Yeah.
Indianapolis has played 2 quarterbacks.
That's 6.
Tennessee has played 2 quarterbacks.
That's 7.
The Chiefs and the Broncos have not.
Right.
They're stayed.
Chargers haven't.
Chargers haven't, but the Raiders have.
So that's 8. That's half the AFC.
Half the AFC.
I've had more than one quarterback play.
In the NFC,
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts has been healthy. He's been on the injury report, but he hasn't missed time.
Dak's been healthy.
Dak has not been on the injury report. He's one of the 5 that has not showed up on the injury report. Sam Howell's been on the injury report, but he hasn't missed time.
Yeah.
The
So
Giants
only the
have played
Giants.
different
So the
quarterbacks,
Giants in
yep.
the NFC.
The Lions are the only team in the NFC North
Right.
because Minnesota's played multiple quarterbacks. Chicago's played, and I'm not. Jordan Love hasn't
Yeah,
missed
Green
time.
Bay has. So
Jordan
that's
Love, I
3.
apologize.
Okay.
This is the division where they've all played different quarterbacks. The Saints,
Yep.
Jameis has played significant time.
Yep.
The Falcons split time between Ritter and Heineke.
Yep.
The Panthers, Andy Dalton started a game.
6.
And Baker.
Baker's played the whole time.
Baker didn't miss one game?
I don't think so.
I'll look that up.
Yeah.
Purdy, in and out with the concussion. I don't think he missed a lot of time. But
I don't think he missed it
Okay, so
all
he's in.
because they diagnosed it after the game, so that doesn't count.
Gino, do you want to count
7,
with the Drew Lock?
yeah.
And then the Rams and the Cardinals both have played multiple quarterbacks.
So that's 9. So that means 17 of the 32 teams
That's crazy.
have played multiple quarterbacks
That's crazy.
already, and we still got, 7 weeks to go in the regular
50
season.
different quarterbacks, and it'll be even more this week with Tim Boyle being 51.
Yeah, right.
Will have started a game
well,
this season.
and what's his name? I can't think of the Bengals' backup quarterback.
Browning.
Yeah, he's starting his
So they'll have
first game.
52 quarterbacks after this week. Which
Yeah,
will start, which is just
And
a
Drew
third
Lock's going
number.
to start a game before the end of the season because Gino looked like a mess.
53, yeah.
Well, I'm surprised he came back in the game he left last week.
Right.
When he got blasted.
Yeah.
I hope that they don't overreact to this and try and change the way that they call the game even more on quarterbacks. Like, I just think it's a bad year. It's an anomaly.
Quarterbacks are essential to the league,
Yeah,
right?
but you can't do it. You
But
can't
you can't
protect
go-
them any
right,
more than
yeah.
what you already
No,
have.
you can't.
Like, it's already ridiculous.
It's been, I mean, even I, who love offense and love quarterback play, think some of the roughing the passer penalties are
it's
ridiculous.
outrageous. Yeah, it's gotten out of hand.
I mean, the ones they should get rid of is where the player lands on the quarterback. As like if you're purposely trying, you know the difference between
Driving a guy
landing
in
and
the
like
ground.
really trying to hurt the guy.
Right.
I think this sucks though. I think they're going to move to a place where it's like the only thing defensive linemen are going to do is try to go for strip sacks.
Yep.
Like that's going to they're going to just tell you there's no upside
Yeah.
to putting hits on the quarterback
Right.
because now you take one step and you push them, that's a penalty. If you get
Yeah.
them in their face and you just touch them in the face,
Yeah.
illegal hands in their face,
Yep.
that's nowadays you're just better off just saying, listen, go for the strip sack. If the strip sack is not there,
Yeah.
or unless during a scrum where you guys can tackle them and kind of just brother-in-law the thing, do it.
What does that mean, brother-in-law?
Brother, like when the coach says your brother-in-law to drill, like you're not friends with your brother-in-law, but when you see your brother-in-law, you talk to him, right? So it's like this middle ground. You're not going to say anything bad about his sister.
Yeah.
So and then you're going to talk about things, but it's going to be like sports. It's not going to be done like politics.
Nothing deep.
So it's like
All
a
right.
mediocre buddy. Yeah.
Plus, I wonder, I'm like going through in real time in my head, how many of these quarterback injuries were from hits in the pocket and how many, like, Aaron Rodgers had nothing to do with.
Right.
It's a soft, it's
he
a,
just-
it's,
yeah.
a, it's a freak. Now, Deshaun was a hit, but it wasn't in the pocket. He was on both hits.
I don't think you could do anything else. I don't think I know the league's always looking to help the quarterbacks. There isn't really. It's just been a freaky year.
Now that sideways tackle, the sideways tackle.
Oh, that's going away. The hip drop, or whatever they
drop.
call
Yeah,
it.
the hip drop.
There's been a lot of debate on that, on if it's good or bad, or if it, like, how else are you supposed to get a guy down?
If,
Yeah,
if
no,
you're a
I-
safety, you might as well chalk it up. You can't
Yeah.
tackle. If they take that away from you, I don't know how you tackle
Yeah,
somebody.
it's ridiculous. All right, Mike. Let's keep it moving here. Elijah Moore, right?
Yeah,
Go
we're talking
ahead.
Elijah Moore, and if you want to bet on Elijah Moore and his props because his stock has been going up lately, you can do it with FanDuel because right now FanDuel is giving new customers $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. That's $150 if your team wins. So if you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action than right now. The app is simple to use, and they have a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and much, much more. So visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, an official partner of the NFL, an official partner of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. As you were saying, Bo, Elijah Moore has seen his stock go up the last 2 weeks. He's been playing his best football of the season. It was a low bar to surpass, but Nevertheless, he did surpass a low bar. It's Black Friday, so I'm going to ask this way. Are you guys buying stock in Elijah Moore's resurgence within the Browns offense?
Jason, what say you?
How much stock do I have to buy?
Well, it's up to you, I guess.
Buying
a little bit of stock?
He's been better, certainly. I don't know that he'll be what he was billed to be in the preseason. I don't know if that's realistic. But certainly, and what I liked on Sunday was he dropped a big pass on the last. Was it the last drive? Was it? I don't know. I'm trying to remember.
It was earlier. It was earlier in the game.
He dropped a big pass, and they came right back to him on the next play.
Yeah.
And he caught it, and I think it was like a 9-yard. I think it was like a first down pass that he dropped, and he came back on second down and caught it, and got like 9 out of it. So I like the fact that they trust him enough to go right back to him, and that he shook that off and made the catch. I don't want to see Elijah Moore in the backfield. I don't want to see some of the gadget stuff that we saw earlier on. But they're going to need him. Like, they're going to need somebody to emerge from this wide receiver group if they're going to continue down this path, if they're going to go far in the playoffs. It can't all be Amari. Like, there's got to be somebody else that they can look to and count on. So I'll buy, but I'm not putting everything in my account. He's not going to be the only thing in my portfolio.
Yeah.
I'll buy a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
I'll buy a little bit.
G, you buying any stock in him?
I don't know, man. I'd rather buy some David Njoku stock, and he's dropped like way more passes than him. Like David Njoku dropped a lot of passes last week too, but they went back to him and caught it. I just like it because he's a bigger target. Some of the stuff that Elijah Moore, we thought he was going to excel at, he's just not very good at that. He doesn't have running back vision. He's not a guy that can. They thought, when they were selling it to us during the preseason, we thought it was going to be like some Percy Harvin type stuff, where you get him in the backfield, maybe return some punts, that just hasn't been the case. No, I'd rather just, like, if I'm watching DTR, I would rather him just force the ball to Amari Cooper on these slants. I don't understand. And here's another thing: why do they continuously give Amari Cooper slants? Like, they give those to him, or is he that elusive where they know he's running slant and they can do nothing about it?
I think it's that.
Yeah.
It's slants coming, and he still gets off press coverage and catches the football. So I'm just ride with that in David Njoku. That's what I'm going to do.
Elijah Moore is medium sauce.
Yes.
He's a third. I think what we're learning is Elijah Moore at best is a third wide receiver.
Yeah.
Right? The Browns don't have a legitimate number 2 wide receiver.
No.
It's something they're going to need to get. They've been trying to do that in the third round of the draft, and so far in 3 straight years they've failed. Now, again, I'm going to give Cedric Tillman a little more time because it's a rookie season, but still. If you look at Elijah Moore the last 2 weeks, 14 targets, 11 catches, 104 yards, and a touchdown. That's good. But even if you extrapolate that over a full season, you're talking about 850 yards. Now, 8 touchdowns if you extrapolate, but that would be really good. But what is that? 850 yards. It's a number 3 receiver. That's what he is. I think a lot of people, when they brought him in, thought he'd be a number 2, or maybe there were some people saying, I don't know who it was, saying Elijah Moore might even be better than Amari Cooper. He was a high draft pick. He clearly was not worthy of where he was drafted. It's 3 seasons in. When we got him, everybody made the excuse, well, the Jets had bad quarterbacks, and blah, blah, blah. Well, okay. Now it's 3 years, and to be fair, the Browns haven't had good quarterback play either for the most part. But I think Elijah Moore is what he is. I think the best case scenario for Elijah Moore is that he does what he's done the last 2 weeks over the course of the season, which is a guy who gets 5 or 6 catches, averages about 50 yards, scores a touchdown here or there. If he did that for the rest of the season, I'd take it. That'd be great. But I don't think he's ever going to be any more than that. So I'll buy a little bit of stock in him. But
you're with me. Diversified.
Yes, very diversified. Here's the question. Mike, bring up that graphic again where you got the leaders in receiving, please, for the Browns. Could you bring that graphic up? All right, guys, I'm going to put you to it right here. See this graphic. Who finishes second in receiving yards on the Browns? Njoku right now has 59 more yards than Elijah Moore. We got, 7 games to go. Who you betting on finishing second, assuming they both play the rest of the year?
Njoku. Easy.
Yeah, I think I'd have to agree. I think it's David.
I want to say Elijah Moore.
I do too. I
want to.
Because
I think it's better for the Browns if that's the case, because I think David Njoku is going to stay on the same pace. And if Elijah Moore finishes ahead, I think if I pick Elijah Moore, it's about him being better, not Njoku going backwards.
I would like to think that.
So I'm going to go with Elijah Moore because I'm going to have a little faith here going down the stretch.
I'd like to think that there's more possibility of a splash play from Elijah Moore just because the routes Njoku's running.
Yeah.
Now, we've seen against the Chargers. We saw him break off a 60-yard touchdown run in L.A. a couple years ago because he made a great catch, made a guy miss, and off he went.
Right.
But if you're playing the odds, I think there's a greater chance that Elijah Moore breaks a couple big ones just because of the role that he's asked to play. I'm going to say Njoku, but it's close. You could easily be right.
Yeah, I'll make the case for – I'll go with Moore just because I feel like it's better for the Browns if it ends up being Moore. So,
let me ask you guys this. Steve, pull the graphic back up.
Yeah.
When the season's over at the end of Week 17, will Donovan Peoples-Jones still be the 5th leading receiver?
Well, who's 6th right now?
No.
Kareem Hunt.
No.
How many yards does Kareem Hunt have?
Kareem Hunt has 49 yards right now.
Where's
Jordan Akins or
Tillman?
Atkins?
Yeah, how many yards does Tillman have?
Like
10.
Oh, God.
3 catches for 10 yards this year.
He's got 10 yards.
Oh,
I would love to
Marquise
hear
Goodwin
some of our
also has 10
conversations
yards.
about Cedric Tillman before the season.
I would have thought he'd be around 35 to 45 right
my
now.
God.
In
I can't
7
believe
games, he has 9 targets, 3 catches, 10 yards, long
All right,
5.
over under 100 receiving yards for Kareem Hunt this year.
Over.
I'm going over.
So he's got to get 50 yards in 7 games.
Yeah.
Over under 100 receiving yards with Cedric Tillman. He's 90 in 7 games.
Over.
I'm going over too.
Over.
I got
What
him
about
at
David
101.
Bell?
All he needs is one game of like 40 or 50.
Yeah, that's it. And then he could get 8 yards a game after
Yeah.
that.
Receivers are not the Browns thing, man.
David Bell has 33 yards this season. Will he finish with over 100?
David
Under.
Bell, third. I'm going under on
It
David
feels-
Bell.
I haven't looked off the top of my head. It feels like Tillman's got a lot more reps than David Bell these last couple
Yes,
weeks.
he has. What's
That's a fact.
What's with Marquise Goodwin? He's been out a month with this concussion.
Did
Well,
you
he
see
had-
him get hit?
No, I know, but it's like what's going on? Is he practicing?
He
or
didn't
no?
practice yesterday. We'll see the update today, but I assume he won't practice.
Yeah.
Oh, he didn't practice yesterday.
He did not practice yesterday.
Yeah, I mean it's got to be really
I mean,
serious.
he had to be carried off the field.
How many
basically.
yards does he have?
10. Him and Tillman combined.
He's only got 10
Him,
also?
Tillman, and Harrison. Well, he has rushing yards. He
Oh
has
yeah,
more
what does
rushing
Harrison
yards.
Bryant have receiving?
10.
What's he have rushing?
Harrison Bryant rushing
6, 8?
has 4 carries for 8 yards,
Yeah.
and he has 4 catches for 10 yards.
Will Harrison Bryant end up with more rushing or receiving yards?
But the crazy thing is, Harrison Bryant play like every down though.
What about the other wide receiver, tight end, whose name I can't think of?
Jordan Akins?
Yeah,
Is it Akins or Atkins? I always pronounce it wrong.
Akins. I think it's
It's
Akins.
Akins. Akins has 45 yards.
Oh, he might. He ain't getting 100. He'll finish with 70.
Harrison Bryant. That cracks me up.
Can you imagine? We like all of my stats for these guys.
We tried telling you, G.
all of these monstrous stats. These guys have Minimowski right now.
Oh my God.
10?
Gee, what's lower than Minimowski? Because Minimowski feels like what DPJ had, 100 yards in 8 games. And by the way, DPJ got 4 snaps in the Thanksgiving Day game yesterday.
Yeah. Who was saying? Somebody here was saying he was going to play a role in Detroit.
He
I'm
got a roll.
not gonna name names.
Just because you go back home don't
Was
mean
it
you're
Earl?
balling.
Oh.
Errol, they try to put that on you, dog. It's like, was it optimistic? It was Earl.
Yo, Earl and Tyvus have the best last one. When Earl cracks up like that, it's hard not to just follow it as laughter.
That's true.
And Tyvus the same way. Tyvus giggles at
All right, what are you
everyone
guys
laughs.
going with on the Elijah Moore versus Njoku? What do you
think
guys
with a young quarterback, I think tight ends just always seem to be that safety blanket, and the route tree that Njoku runs, and G pointed this out. I hadn't even noticed this till G pointed it out. He chip blocks and just kind of fades out to the flat, and it's a dump down. And if he wants, he could probably have 10 catches a game
10.
if the quarterback goes through his progression and just
Easy
decides
money.
to dump it off. So you go back and you look at Elijah Moore's game log. He's getting a decent amount of targets, but Njoku had 14 targets last game. 14 targets. Now he had 4 drops.
Yeah.
But 14 targets in DTR's second start bowl, if you want to be specific. First start in the Mike Lucas official book. But 14 targets, over Elijah Moore
Yeah, that's
had
true.
7 last week. I'm going to go with Njoku.
He
just
just
based
blocks.
on
He just blocks and then kind of
opportunities.
stands there, and he's open. Like so, they just throw it to him.
You know, it's funny. The
And
Browns
Stefanski loves screens, and their
Yeah.
tight end screenplays have been masterful this season.
You know, the Browns have always, for many years, pre-Nick Chubb, were always terrible in fantasy. Like, you never wanted any Browns players in fantasy because they never
Did
had
anything.
good skill position players. And then you got Nick Chubb, and he's been a good. He's a
Solid.
better NFL player than fantasy player because he doesn't catch a lot of passes. But he's always been a really good, reliable fantasy player. But this year they don't really have anybody that's a good. Like, even Amari Cooper has been decent, but I don't really. He doesn't have any touchdowns.
They're the Patriots. Like they're the Patriots.
Yeah, he doesn't like with DTR. Amari's not going to put up big numbers.
Like when the Patriots always what's the small they had the small white running back.
White running back, Rex Burkhead.
They had Rex Burkhead,
Danny Woodhead, and Danny Woodhead.
And then they would have like
Then it became James White.
and you'd be like, man, I can't pick them.
Yeah, and they have nobody you can use.
No, they have nobody. No one's getting over.
I mean, Jerome Ford is a serviceable fantasy player, but he's not reliable from week to week.
The Browns on offense play a lot like the old them like 2018, 2019 Patriots.
Well, they still have Tom Brady. You could always use Tom Brady, but
I mean, Tom Brady would throw. You couldn't tell. Tom Brady be like, he threw for 269, and you were like,
right. But he spread it around.
right, just no crazy numbers.
We would kill for 269.
Oh, 269.
All right, so we're all buying. G's not buying any stock in Elijah Moore, and Jason and I are buying Minimowski stock.
penny stocks.
Want to see how it does.
Yeah, penny stock.
See how it does.
Yeah. All right, Mike. So let's.
It is time to do a little draft, guys.
Yes.
But before we do the draft, a quick reminder that at 12:30 we pivot from YouTube over to WKYC, and you can watch us with 30 minutes of never-seen-before content. And this week, it's a little bit of an Ohio State-Michigan preview with our guy Tyvis Powell. Tyvis never lost to Michigan during his playing days, and he says he will never pick this game wrong. He correctly predicted Michigan to win last year, and he's trying to keep his streak alive this season.
Wow.
So we're going to get
Michigan
Tyvis's
last year. I'm
pick
surprised by that.
to see if he can keep that streak going. But from 12:30 to 1, we are over on WKYC. And if you're not in Cleveland, you can watch on the WKYC app or the WKYC Plus app. Make sure you guys tune in for that. Bullets, have ourselves a little draft here.
Okay. Now, this is a very interesting one, guys. Because
This is hard.
We talked about it earlier. The Broncos, most of their starters are decent. They don't have a lot of frontline players. But I think the one spot has got to be easy. The one spot's got to be Myles Garrett.
Absolutely.
Were we supposed to send some names in on this?
No.
You did not have to send it because for the TV show, I need y'all to send it beforehand. For the YouTube one, I like doing it on the fly.
Okay, I was confused. I'm like, dang, I missed another.
When's going to be? Is there going to be a game this year where Myles Garrett is not the first pick? I got one. Oh, this is an interesting one. Although we won't debate it too long. You taking C.J. Stroud over Myles? Probably not.
No,
if you,
Myles is because positional value doesn't matter here. Myles is a better.
yeah, but then you guys killed me when I took a kicker. If positional value doesn't matter,
We changed that. We changed that since then. Boy.
Okay, all right.
We've adapted. Just like Kevin Stefanski's going to adapt the game plan this week. We have adapted to figure things out. But okay, Myles Garrett's
easy number one.
That was easy. The rest of this gets in. I think there's a pretty clear-cut number 2. Then after that, I think it's.
so then that means Myles Garrett's going to be number one every week,
I think so.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
Jaguars, Rams.
I was thinking Trevor Lawrence possibly. I'd take Myles over Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, Texans, Jets, taking Jamar Chase over him, week 17, week 18.
Sauce Gardner. Remember we wouldn't trade him for DTR?
What was that?
You got Sauce Gardner, who we
Sauce
wouldn't
Gar-
trade for DTR, so he can't
That's right.
Remember that?
Yeah, that's right. Who was that again? Nick Carnes?
We love Nick. But that was an egregious tweet.
Now, I want to see what you say because
Yeah.
depending on what you said, based on what you said earlier this week,
Yeah.
this has to be your boy Russell Wilson.
Yes.
For the number 2
For
spot?
number 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm taking Russ number 2.
And it's crazy.
Oh, wow.
I wouldn't have thought it would have been back up at 2 that quickly, but he's been playing well this year.
I'm taking Russ 2.
I mean, the Broncos have an offensive guard who's highly graded on PFF, Quinn Merez, however the hell you say his name. But I feel like a phony picking him because I only know him because I looked at the PFF grades. I would never heard of him before.
Hey, by the way, I've never seen any all 22 tape on this guy.
On
What's
Quinn
that name?
Merez.
Quinn Merez.
He's really, really good. He
Never.
play.
Patrick Surtain.
Now he's
in
good.
the conversation.
That's who I was taking it to.
And then on the Browns, well, Denzel's hurt, so I can't include him.
Denzel's
That's what
out.
complicates it this week.
Right.
Is some of these injuries.
Yeah.
And this is for just so anyone's watching who hasn't seen this. This is for just this week. So injuries be damned.
Right.
Guys
It's what,
out.
right for this week.
It's who
I
do you
can't
want
pick
for this
Denzel
game
because
on
he's not
Sunday?
playing.
I'm gonna go with Russell.
I'm going Russell.
All right, I'm going to make it a clean sweep. We're going with Russell Wilson.
Okay, so we have Myles Garrett, and then we have Russell Wilson.
We wouldn't have guessed that before the season after
At
his
all.
year
No,
last year.
no.
But he's playing very well.
I would go with another Denver player here. I'd put Surtain.
Yeah,
Surtain,
that's
3.
that's what I was thinking.
All right, now at 4, we got this Quinn Merez of the Broncos. We've got Teller,
Amari
Cooper.
I'm gonna go with the guy that everyone knows was running the slant, but they can't stop it.
Amari.
Yeah.
What about
I'm with
Greg
him.
Newsom?
I would take Emerson over Newsom.
I'm sorry, I meant Emerson. I was thinking Emerson and I said
Yeah.
Newsom.
I'm with G. Amari. I'd say Amari.
All right, I'm going with you.
So Amari Cooper's 4. So
Been
the
very
first 4
easy so
picks,
far.
it's a 2-2
Very
split.
easy.
Browns, Broncos, Myles Garrett 1, Russell Wilson 2, Pat Surtain 3, and Amari Cooper 4, which is interesting, by the way, before we get to 5. That's a quarterback and the guy chasing down the quarterback and a wide receiver DB matchup, which we're going to see, I'm assuming, a lot because Pat Surtain follows receivers as much as any other DB in the league. So he's unlike some cornerbacks who just play the left side or the right side.
Yeah.
Pat Surtain shadows receivers, so we're going to see a ton of them. Or I would guess we're going to see
The
a ton
Steelers
of
did that a
Amari.
lot last week
Yeah.
with Joey Porter Jr. on Amari. Quite a bit.
Yes.
All of the first half, I think, and quite a bit in the second half.
Yep.
It was just Porter on Amari.
We saw that last night in the Niner. What's his name? What's Ward's first name? I forgot his name. First name. Shavarius or
It's one of them. One of them Shire.
Yeah.
Are you? If you want to learn how to cheat, to say how black names just go be like Zadarius right there. You just say it quick.
Is it Shavarius? What's his first name? Ward on the Niners.
CHA.
Or Ja.
Chavarius.
Shavarius.
It could be.
He was on DK Metcalf all game and
Played
he shut
great
him
game
down.
yesterday.
But I'll tell you, who I'm taking number 5.
Do it, Bull. Do it.
A-Rod, baby.
Who?
Who?
You said Alex Rodriguez?
I mean D-Rod.
You mean D-Hop. You mean D-Hop.
He's looking at me like,
I was like,
what did I just say?
I was like, Jason.
What did I just say?
I said this got to be an inside
I
joke.
said A-Rod instead of
Hey,
D-Hop.
make sure we clip that. Make sure you time
Oh,
that.
make
Clip
sure
that.
that's got to be like a YouTube short right there.
he
That
loves
is the
him
worst.
I thought I was such a genius saying A-Rod. I got the wrong.
I said, is he back?
There's not a single letter. You had one of the 4 letters right.
You got the O.
That's it.
You got the
First,
O.
by the way, that's a double because first I said Greg Newsom when I meant Martin Emerson.
Yeah.
And then I meant Dustin Hopkins, and I said A-Rod. I don't know why I said
That's the
A-Rod
worst mistake you've made on the show.
instead of D-Hop.
I'm looking at you
I'm
like,
kind of losing it right now. I'm looking at you like, save me. What did I say?
There have been very few moments in the history of UCSS where everyone goes silent.
Yeah.
And we all look around like, did you?
I got holiday brain right now.
I was like, dang, man. They must
I may
have
need to
something.
go to the
So
doctor
you
to
went,
get
you went
checked
with
out.
Dustin Hopkins, a.k.a. Alex Rodriguez
Yes.
2.0, a.k.a. the kicker for the
He's so
Cleveland
great
Browns.
at kicking. He's the Alex Rodriguez of kicking.
Oh, my
Dustin
goodness.
Hopkins. I'm going Dustin Hopkins.
I
5.
can't go that high, although I do think he belongs on the list.
Yeah.
I can't put him above guys like Cortland Sutton.
I was going to go with Cortland Sutton.
Yeah.
Cortland Sutton is mid-tier.
Yeah, I don't think Cortland Sutton.
Cortland Sutton came back this year. Now, Jerry Jeudy is mid.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
He's medium
Well, I got
sauce.
outvoted. Cortland Sutton at 5.
Can I tell you guys a quick Cortland Sutton story real quick? So
Please.
he's from Brenham High School in Texas.
SMU.
Which is- No, SMU's in Dallas. He went to SMU, though. Yes, from
he
Brenham.
went to-
Brenham was the Cubs, and it was a team I covered when I was covering Texas high school football. For a team that was as good as they were, the Cubs and their mascot was a Care Bear. You know, remember Care Bears?
Yeah.
It was the least imposing mascot in the history of mascots ever in the history of the world.
Right.
And they were really good, like
Yeah.
state championship level every year. And they ran out of the tunnel with the giant inflatable Care Bear. And it was green. And
Yeah.
it was the biggest
That's
contrast.
bizarre.
And Cortland Sutton's huge, by the way. He was
Yeah.
the same size he is now as he was as a 17-year-old kid in high school. And then to see him run out of the Care Bear thing, when everyone else had these intimidating dragons and,
Right.
and cougars and lions, it was just cute little teddy bear.
Little teddy bear. It's cute and lovable. All right, so Cortland Sutton wins the vote, so put him up there.
So he's number 5. So top 5, we have 3 Broncos and 2 Browns so far.
I'm going with A-Rod.
Damn, that's high for a kicker.
I still can't go that high.
I would go JOK. JOK been playing well.
He's on my list. I was going to say Wyatt Teller, so now what do we do?
I like
Emerson. What about
That
Emerson?
comes to me as the
All of them.
tiebreaker. So my 3 choices are Dustin Hopkins.
Yeah.
G went with JOK.
Yeah.
And you went with Teller.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to go with JOK here. Slightly above Teller.
That's fair.
I have D-Hop 8 on my list, Ball. Don't worry, D-Hop's coming. But because you named him A-Rod, I got to deduct points.
I got
to deduct
that's
points.
Fair.
It's a you thing. It's not even against Dustin. It's a you thing.
I've hurt you, Dustin. I apologize. I called you A-Rod. I don't know what happened. My brain is a little bit of Jell-O right now. Might be too much ice cream. I don't know what's happened, but
I will say D-Hop.
Yeah.
He's going to have an opportunity to kick one from very long away.
In that thin air.
In that thin air, he might be
maybe he's going to break a record.
He might, if he could get enough on it. And
Have we seen a forecast for Sunday? You never know.
I'm going to look it up right now.
It could be 6 feet of snow, or it could be 70 and sunny.
And I still hate playing there. I just don't. It just feels nasty when we go play there.
So who got 6? JOK. All right, so 7.
JOK was 6, but I think Teller and Hopkins are literally the next 2 I have on my list, outside of MJ Emerson, who's also just giving you guys my list.
So how about Teller, then Hopkins? I think the 9 and 10 should be
the next 4 Browns.
Quinn Merez and
Merez is really good.
Yeah,
who we
needs to be on the list. He needs to be on the list.
Quinn Merez and Emerson. No, you got Emerson?
I mean,
You asked my personal list? The last 4 I had, if this is going off me, but
Yeah.
you guys vote. I had Emerson next, then I had Hopkins at 8,
All right.
and then Merez and Teller at 9, 10, and you could tell me one's 9, one's 10.
Well, who
and
we
I'm
going
left
at
in
7? Who we voting for? I'm voting for Hopkins again. And I'm going to stop calling him A-Rod.
Where are we?
This is number 7. We just
bring
had
up the
JOK
thing
at
for
6.
a second so we can
I
see it.
I would put that Merez dude in there.
So we had Myles Garrett 1, Russell Wilson 2, Pat Surtain 3, Amari Cooper 4, Cortland Sutton 5, JOK 6. So we're at a 3-3 split through 6 picks.
Right. Oh, we
And
put
Anthony
Wyatt Teller at 7.
Teller. Anthony jumped the gun here, but it's okay.
Are you going with Teller?
I would say I think Teller's having a phenomenal year.
I do too.
So I would say Teller. I mean the Broncos. I mean their leading tackler is pretty good too.
Alex Singleton has 100 tackles already this
Yeah,
season.
he's having a great year, and they've got a defensive end who's playing well.
Yeah.
Benito has 6
I'm
sacks.
voting for Hopkins. Who are you voting for?
Give me Teller.
Teller? Who are you voting for?
That one kid from the
Quinn Merez.
Merez.
Who are you breaking the tie with?
I love you all, but it's Hopkins time. And only because I think Teller and Marinez are right there, so let's put those 2 back-to-back next, and we can switch their order if you want. But let's go Teller, then Marinez, 8,
Teller
9.
8, Marinez 9. So
And
10.
then it comes down to 10 with who you guys want to go
We got
with.
the guy who leads the Broncos in tackles.
That's Alex Singleton. We got MJ Emerson.
You got Emerson.
We got Njoku.
What's
who hasn't
that?
been- Njoku hasn't
Njoku.
been mentioned yet.
You got Boyorquez.
You got. I was hoping.
I actually-
How about my man Boyorquez?
I actually Bojorquez.
Boyorquez.
I've actually been thinking about him because he's such a weapon. But man, we got some big names out there still.
I'm going to vote for Emerson at 10.
I don't know why every time you say Borquez, I think of carne asada. Like I just think they just say it's just like carne asada. You know what I'm saying?
Carne asada.
Like, and I'm like, man.
Jorge Posada. Joe Espada. I'm losing my mind.
6 degrees.
Who we going for at 10? So I'm saying 10. I'll vote for Emerson at 10.
I got Emerson. I'll take Emerson.
All right.
All right, there you go, Emerson at 10.
I'll take
I
Emerson.
feel bad. I feel like Njoku would have been
yeah,
like
we
a
left
minus
out Njoku.
200
It's
to
tough.
make the 10.
It's tough.
These are so when people always. I've had a bunch of tweets at me, be like, "You forgot this person," and I ask them, "Well, make your own list."
Yeah.
It's a lot tougher than it comes out to be. Here's our top 10. We'll start from the top, though, Anthony. Let's start with Myles Garrett was the unanimous number 1. We went Russell Wilson 2, Pat Surtain 3, Amari Cooper 4, Cortland Sutton 5, JOK at 6. Switch it when you're ready, Ant. JOK at 6, Dustin Hopkins at 7, Wyatt Teller at 8, Quinn Marinez at 9, and Martin Emerson at 10. I feel like Njoku should have been on there. I'm not sure who I would take off, though. It's one of those, you got snubbed, but that means you got to take someone off.
Is there any team that we play this year that it could be all Browns in the top 10? I think the only chance we had was the Cardinals game.
Yeah.
But now that's passed. I don't think there's anything
Did
coming
we
out.
do one for the?
I
I
don't
felt
think we
like there
did
was
one for
one
the
where it
No,
was
because I
like
thought it was going to be all 10 Browns.
it was like we had one where it was like 8-2 Browns.
Yeah.
I don't remember which one it
Well,
was.
I mean, who's the worst team they're playing? The Bears.
The Bears, but I feel like Montez Sweat will be on that at a minimum. And their cornerback,
And-
the guy that
and
just
they
signed,
got-
Jalen Jones, is really good.
And then they got the receiver. What's his name?
DJ Moore.
DJ
Moore. So that's
I was thinking
at least
not the Cardinals, the Rams. The only guy in the Rams you'd take, or maybe two, but Puka and Cooper Kupp.
Well, Cooper Kupp's hurt, though, right now. So
And
if he
Stafford
might
might
not play
not be,
that
yeah.
game. Well, their
So-
running back, Kyron Williams, is coming back this week. And he had been great early in the
Aaron
season.
Donald's still playing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I literally forgot about
geez,
Aaron
forgot
Donald. I
about
forgot
Aaron
he
Donald.
existed. Bad job out of me. Bad job out of me.
Had a couple-
He
All
almost
right.
killed Geno Smith last week, by the way.
Maybe. Well, no, not even the Jets, because Jets got Jets are good defensively, and they got Gary
Quentin
Wilson.
Williams is a monster.
And they got Brees Hall.
Yeah.
He's really good, too. He's grounded into form. Go ahead, Mike.
We're going to get to some McNugget stats first. It is time for another FanDuel read. And if you're looking to get in on the action this NFL season, you got to be doing it with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, brand new customers get $150 in bonus bets if your team wins any money line bet. That's a $5 money line bet into $150 in bonus bets if your team wins. So if you're thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action than right now. The app has spreads, player props, over-unders, and much, much more. So visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to kick off the NFL season. That is FanDuel.com/UCSS. FanDuel, an official partner of the NFL, an official partner of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Earlier in the show, we showed you a winning ticket, that turned $4 into $518. This week, or today, I have a ticket from Akron Dre Day, who turned a $30 parlay into $932 with a giant same-game parlay. Tobias Harris, Jared Allen, Max Juice, Darius Garland, DeAnthony Melton, Evan Mobley. Tobias Harris rebounds, Embiid points, Garland points, Maxey points. Literally a 13-part parlay, and that turned $30 into $932. If you have a winning FanDuel ticket, tweet it at us, and we will showcase. I'm not sure what was going on behind me, Ant. You good? Steve, you good?
Yeah.
you gotta
That's
talk about
impressive.
my
By the
back.
way, before we get to the McNugget stats,
Yes.
a couple of quick things. Have I told the story about Tobias Harris used to call me on the radio?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know. It's been so long, I don't know what stories I'm telling. One story I didn't tell that I got to tell. So Wednesday morning, I can't believe I forgot to tell this on Wednesday's show. Wednesday morning, I'm waking up. It's like 6:45. I sit down at my desk. All of a sudden, at the front door of the house, 6:45 in the morning, I hear somebody knocking on the door like for dear life, like blah, 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 blah. My dog goes nuts. I'm like, what the hell is going on at 6:45? Somebody's banging on my door at 6:45 in the morning. I walk up to the door, and there's two cops there.
What?
Right? Two Rocky River cops. And I'm like, guys, I got no pants. I'm just in my boxers, right? So the dog's going nuts. I was like, I'm not going to go. The cops are knocking on my door. I'm like, well, whatever. I'm going to go. So I just opened the door in my boxers. Eventually, I'm not going to make them. And they're like, your alarm went off. Is everything okay? Or he's like, are you the
How
homeowner?
did you not hear the alarm going off?
I don't know. It might. I think what happened is normally I shut off the alarm in the morning, but on Wednesday my son shut it off. Aaron, who's here, and I think what happened is he maybe used the wrong passcode, and so it sent the silent alarm. If you do it on the key, I do it on my phone and shut it off. If you do it on the actual keypad, there's a silent alarm.
Yeah.
So I guess that's what happened.
That's funny.
But I was like, oh, my God, what is happening? We're being raided for drugs?
Yeah. Man,
I don't have any drugs in my house. I don't use drugs.
Yeah, listen. When that happens, I send my wife to the door.
Yeah. Well. Anyway, there you go. I was not arrested. Everything's fine. And I apologize to the police officers for wasting their time. But it's all good. Go ahead, Mike.
We got a six-pack of McNugget stats here for you. And, Steve, we could actually go to all the way down. It starts at 161. We talked about the first one on Monday, but I want it to be part of this clip on YouTube, so we're going to mention it again. Mm-hmm. Jason brought this up, so actually this is not a McNugget stat. This is a Jason stat. But the Browns have done a phenomenal job this season of essentially gassing out their opponents. The Browns as a team have run 182 more plays this season than their opponent. That's number 1 in the NFL by a wide margin. Number 2 is Dallas, who's run 92 more plays. That was before yesterday's game, by the way, so the number may be a tiny bit out, but there's no way they ran over 100 plays more than Washington yesterday. Cleveland defense leads the NFL in 3-and-outs, and in average NFL game, defenses run about 63 plays. So essentially, the Browns' opponents have played 3 more games against them than they've played. And we've seen a lot of comebacks. We've seen a lot of success in the fourth quarter from the Browns. And I think a large part of that is due to how tired defenses are come fourth quarter time, because they've been on the field essentially for an extra 17, 18% than the Browns defense has.
Yeah, there's a lot of fascinating things in here, but put that in perspective for a minute. 108, they've run 182 more plays. And that's with an offense that's not very good.
Right.
That's 18 more plays a game.
Yeah.
Right? Is my math correct on that?
Yeah.
18
10
times
games,
10 is
18.2,
180.
yeah.
And if the Browns would do just a little bit better job of, like, because in the first half they don't convert very many of their third downs, right? They're not. It's not like the Browns are converting a boatload of third downs themselves. But if they can just keep it in third and manageable, and just move the ball and punt and pin teams down, that'll even be more of an issue in terms of the plays that they're running compared to the other team, because they don't convert as much as they could.
I think there's a lot. The biggest factor in this, obviously, is the fact that the Browns' defense has been excellent. I think there are other small factors that have gone to this as well. The Browns are a run-heavy team. They've forced a lot of turnovers, especially, since week 4 or 5. They've also had a lot of turnovers. So even when the other team's getting the ball, even if they do score, it's not a lot of plays because it's a short field. I would love to know how many touchdowns the Browns defense has given up where the drive had to go 70 or more yards. They got to be best in the league. I would bet a good percentage of the Browns' touchdowns allowed have been short fields. A good percentage.
Yeah, they gave up the big play at Pittsburgh. That was what?
Sure.
71 yards.
So, okay.
Both weeks. Both times
against Pittsburgh. The run wasn't as long.
74
but there
yards.
have not.
It was?
It was longer.
The Browns' defense has not given up a lot of sustained long drives ending in a touchdown.
Right.
There have been almost none of those. Well, they've got to be the best in the league.
Those 2 plays against the Steelers are the only 2 that come to mind in terms of big plays allowed.
Right. But even drives that had to go a long time, even if it wasn't a big play.
The only game that any team had any success in sustained drives, which makes no sense, was Gardner Minshew. The Colts were able to put together a couple of longer drives. No other team.
Of all people.
San Francisco on the opening drive went right down the field on them on their first possession.
Yes.
So that one counts.
Yeah.
You're right. Minshew had a couple in Indy.
But the Bengals had none. The Cardinals
Titans
had none. The 2 Steeler games were those 2 long ones. The Ravens had a couple in that first game.
Those were short fields.
But you're right. Those were really short fields.
They were short off turnovers.
I would bet the Browns have given up the least amount of 70-yard touchdown drives.
Even when there's a double cheat, because the Browns either sack you on third down or you get a penalty for holding. Now they're like, okay, well, and now their defensive linemen, they're just not even rushing on third down. They're like, you can't run screens on the Browns either. If they pick it out and it's third and long enough, they're like, no, you're not throwing the ball downfield. We're gonna sit on your screen game.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult to have sustained drives when you get put back 1st and 20. That's tough. Like, you gonna run the ball 2-3 times? No. That's why the Browns are really, really good at making teams be very, very frustrated.
Yeah. Go ahead, Mike.
Next one, we talked about this a little earlier, but I think a key this week is keeping it simple for DTR. We mentioned it in the first topic, but 39 of his 43 passes were 10 or fewer yards in the air. His time to throw in different situations was incredible. Kevin Stefanski designed the ball to get out of his hands almost immediately. In a clean pocket, under 2 seconds. When he was blitzed, under 2 seconds. When he wasn't blitzed, a 2.26, which is still way under the league average. And when pressured, it's because he scrambles, so it actually makes the time go up a little bit because he holds it during scrambles and he's looking for more time. 3 seconds.
By the way, that first thing says 39 of 40 throws greater than 10 air yards.
That's the second time I've messed up a greater than less than sign in this last month, and that's my bad, yeah. I gotta
go back
figure
to
out-
5th grade math there,
Yeah,
Mike.
that's my bad. I put that back.
The alligator mouth eats the bigger number.
Yeah, that's me. That's a hand up. My bad job on me there.
Yeah.
They were under 39 of 43. Were under 10 yards. But essentially, the point here is Kevin Stefanski designed a game plan to get the ball out of his hands incredibly quick for 2 reasons. 1, make it easy for DTR, and 2, that negates T.J. Watt and Alex Highsmith. Going against 2 backup tackles, how do you negate a pass rush more than having faith in DeJuan Jones and Jerron Christian? You don't give them time to get to the quarterback. I think Stefanski deserves a lot of credit for that, and I would not be surprised, even if they do reinvent themselves a little bit, like G alluded to earlier, that this is still kind of the general premise for how to have success with DTR on the road in Denver.
Well,
it's also simplifying the reads for the quarterback. It's really one read and go, right? Like you don't have a lot of time to scan the field and go through your first progression, second progression. When you're getting the ball out that fast, you pretty much know where it's going off the snap. And I know, I think I mentioned this Monday. I heard that from some of the guys in the locker room is how appreciative they were of how fast the ball was coming out. Everyone knew where it was going. It was getting out quick, and it was going to the right spot for the most part.
The Broncos only have 19 total sacks this year, which has got to be towards the bottom of the league, no?
I'll tell you right now.
I mean, and they're leading. They have 2 linebackers who have 5 sacks to lead the team, or 5.5.
Isn't Flores their D coordinator?
No, Flores is in.
I don't remember where he is.
He's with Josh Dobbs in Minnesota.
Okay.
Okay, got you. I flipped him up because Minnesota played Denver played last week. I know I heard his name.
And so I think in this game we're less worried about the pass rush.
Dead last, by the way.
They're dead last in sacks. I figured they were near the bottom. They're dead last.
They're tied with the Giants for dead last.
Okay. They essentially have no pass rush. You're getting rid of the ball quick to avoid the pass rush. I think they'll be able to throw deeper this. Last week you talked about, Mike, all the passes being short. Well, part of the reason all the passes were short is because they didn't want to take the time to go downfield because they were worried about Watt and Highsmith. This week there's nobody you're worried about on Denver. They don't have one really good pass rusher. Nobody. I never heard of their sack leaders. I never heard of either of those guys.
Benito was a guy who was on the same defensive line at Oklahoma as Perrion Winfrey.
Yeah.
They came in the same draft class. The other guy, Jonathan Cooper, not too familiar.
I never even heard of either of those. Have you guys heard of either of those guys?
No.
They have 5.5 sacks each. They only have 4 players with more than 1 sack. And if 2 guys with 5.5, 2 guys with 3. So they're rarely getting to the quarterback. They're not good up front. They got a good secondary, but they're not very good up front. This is if the Browns offense is going to get going, it should get going this week. The only thing the Broncos have done well is take the ball away the last bunch of weeks, and that's been a problem for the Browns. If the Browns protect the ball, I think they'll win the game.
What would you say DTR's weakness is?
I don't know yet.
I mean,
Yeah, I don't
They that crazy? Like
I don't know. What's his strength?
I don't know what his strength.
I mean, I think everything's his weakness right now. I don't know. I don't know if he's any good. Do we know if he can? I don't know if he can play.
I haven't seen it. That's the thing, right?
We don't know. He has done enough.
He's going against the defense,
I guess his strength would be that can throw really hard.
Yeah,
But there's been a lot of quarterbacks that can throw hard that weren't good quarterbacks.
So when you say this is what the Browns can exploit, I don't know if he can exploit the deep game because I don't know if he's accurate enough, or I don't know if he. I know he gets rid of the ball quickly, but I think that might be a Kevin Stefanski thing. So my thing is, it'll be interesting. It's almost like watching a rookie quarterback for the first time. It's like watching a guy that you drafted, and it's weird because we didn't draft him to take over the team at this point because he's still young and he's 5th-round draft pick. But it's weird. It's like you being in this place where you wanna continue to win football games. Your team is 7-3. It's a pressure-packed game, and you got this guy who you don't know anything about, and you're just like, okay, how can they win this football game?
Do you have any feel for what he's capable of?
No.
Not
how
really. Could you?
And that's why we've said for weeks, just keep it simple with him. Just keep it simple. Short passes, screens, all the stuff that we've talked about, because you need to build confidence in him. You need to see what you've got with him. Certainly, I think the Browns have a little bit better of an idea what he can and can't do just because they've had him since spring, and he's got a lot of practice reps now. but we don't get to watch practice, and so all we have is what we can go off of what we've seen, which isn't a lot.
Yeah.
Right,
So
but I would
to
think
say.
this is a team it would make sense. Again, with the Steelers, you're worried about their pass rush. With the Broncos, you're not. So it makes sense. Like, if they're going to take some deep shots, this week would seem to be the week to do it.
Yeah.
Because the offensive line, and you're getting DeJuan Jones back, too. So your offensive line is better. By the way, Gary Christian did not grade out well last week.
No, very in the 30s. In the 30s, which is weird because he only gave up 2 pressures, but with the timing, PFF, we're not totally sure. All right, next stat for you. It's Denver minus Miami. Now, before I tell you the actual numbers, the Miami game was a catastrophe for Denver. They gave up 70 points. They lost 70-20. And right now, if you look at Denver's defensive numbers across the board for season totals, they're near the bottom in everything, including rushing yards. They're going to have 160 rushing yards this season. That is dead last in the NFL. However, at home in the last 3 weeks, they've been much better, but much better from worse is still bottom 10 in the league. You can definitely run against this defense, and I do expect the Browns to run the ball a lot in this game. If you look at points per game right now, they average opposing teams are averaging 26.8 points per game against them. That's 30th. But if you take out the Miami game, and granted that was the worst game, and it's not fair to take out one game, but just to see where they've ranked, if that's more of an anomaly, and it kind of does.
But you're not taking every other team's worst game out.
I'm just saying take that one game out.
Team, I mean, 70 points is
okay,
drastic.
but I think what would be better to do is cut it in half.
What do you mean cut it in half?
I'm saying take it as if the
I'm
Dolphins
just giving you a
scored 30.
context of how this defense has performed in 9 of 10 games and since Miami game, which once again is middle of the pack. Last season they were one of the best defenses in football. This year they've taken a major step back, but that one game skews the numbers more than if you just take a snapshot. So you take out the Miami game, they've played 9 games. They average giving up 21 points per game, 15th in the league, which is dead smack in the middle. In the 7 games after Miami, 19.6 points per game, which would be 8th in the league. And on the 4-game win streak, they're averaging giving up 17 points. So it's more, what have you done for me lately?
Yeah, they've played
and the defense
better.
has been okay. It's not great,
but it's
not as bad as the overall picture of the 30th ranked defense in the league looks when you look at the overall context.
I think they're a mediocre team.
They're average.
A mediocre defense.
Yeah.
And a mediocre team can beat anybody on any given day. The NFL has, in a way, it feels like a bad year in some ways for the NFL because so many quarterbacks been hurt. But in a way, it's a good year because it's so up for grabs. I know the Eagles have been the best team overall, but I don't think the Eagles are any kind of lock to go to the Super Bowl.
No.
And the
They're
AFC
squeaking by a
feels
lot of
completely
games.
wide open. Are you comfortable picking any team as a favorite in the AFC? I guess I'd go with Kansas City because of their track record.
Right.
If I had to pick, I'm going to take Kansas City. But they don't look great.
Pick a team that's going to play them, though, in the AFC Championship game. Like, just throw a dart.
I mean,
You know what I mean? Like, I like the Chiefs' odds to get to the AFC title game still.
Baltimore overall may have played. You could argue Baltimore's been the best team in the AFC, but Lamar's won 1 playoff game. Yeah. So do you have faith in him in the playoffs? That's the thing. A lot of these teams that are playing well, they have unproven quarterbacks. So that's why in the end I would still lean towards Mahomes. But
that's why I'm interested to see if Kevin Stefanski sees like some upside. The way he plays these games, it's going to tell me whether or not he believes that DTR can be a viable starter in this league. Because, when he has a quarterback, when he had Deshaun Watson, he opened it up. Like, he'll throw the ball downfield. And if DTR, if he comes out and he's like, all right, well, we got our tackles back. This defense is middle of the road. We're throwing the football.
Yeah.
I'm like, why? Because that would then tell me he feels he has a shot. Like, usually he would play it close to the vest and see hey, let's get to the playoffs, see what happens.
Yeah.
But if DTR can start playing like a middle-of-the-road quarterback, maybe he start to see the field better. Maybe he starts to get some momentum and confidence. Like you said, it's wide open. It's wide open.
All right, Mike, next. How many more we got here?
We got 3 more, so we're going to go through. And this one we can fly through real quick. We touched on the turnovers earlier. The Browns, as we know, have a -5 turnover differential this season. The Broncos have the 4th best turnover differential. They're at +6 this season. The 11 turnover differential in this matchup between where Cleveland is and Denver is the single biggest turnover margin in all the matchups in Week 12. And I got this from Cleve TA, our guy on Twitter. If you don't follow Cleve TA, he's one of the best follows.
He's got his own
Twitter.
website, analytics-based
Super
website.
smart
He does an
guy.
excellent job.
He let me know that since Week 6, the Broncos rank in the bottom 5 in the NFL in percentage of drives ending in a score that start in their own field position. So if it's not a turnover and they have to go 40, 50 yards to score, they've been horrendous at that since week 6. The Browns, as we mentioned earlier, as good as any team in the league at forcing teams into 3 and outs and getting them off the field.
Right.
So I think if you don't turn the ball over, the Browns have a great chance to win this game.
Yeah, I mean, it's
pretty simple.
It's a pretty simple formula there. I mean, the Browns have been bad. They've given away the ball way too much. And if they don't do that,
it all traces back to quarterback play.
Right.
Because there really hasn't been fumbles.
No.
It's been the quarterback.
No, it's been mostly the quarterback.
And quarterbacks is where we go with the next one. How about the Browns being cardiac kids this season? So far this year, in 2023, they have 4 game-winning drives from quarterbacks. That's the same amount they had in total from 2020 to 2022 since Kevin Stefanski's been the head coach. And they've done it with 3 different quarterbacks. And for the first time since Kevin Stefanski's been the head coach of the Cleveland Browns, Browns quarterbacks have a higher yards per attempt and completion percentage in the second half of games than they do in first half of games.
Yeah, it's been a big turnaround. We've always in the past talked about the Browns are so good on script, and then they struggle to adjust. This year it's been the opposite.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
they've been much better in the second half, and I think a lot of it is they've worn teams down by being on the field a lot.
That still surprises me, though, because I remember Baker's first year with Kevin. The first half was a lot of dinking and dunking, a lot of short passes, and then they really sort of let it rip the more the game progressed. That's really the only year I can recall that happening, but that surprises me a little bit.
Yeah, the 10-yard penalties kill you the most, and they've been able to do a pretty good job of having backup tackles who have not held or been downfield. And I will always say this. Now watch, there'll be a jinx. The Browns do not offensively have false starts that much.
No.
For all of the motion and stuff they do with a lot of guys, I'm really impressed with. Listen, he's a glorified lineman, but the way that Nick Harris moves around and does not jump and knows his assignment, I'm like, man, he's a pretty smart guy.
He's done a good job. Go ahead, Mike. Last one.
All right, last one. This is a little homage to your guy, Dustin Hopkins. Dustin Hopkins is a scoring machine. This season alone, he's responsible for 93 points. In 10 games, that's 9.3 points per game. The Browns' single-season record for points from a kicker is Phil Dawson with 120. Cleveland's all-time record, any season, any position, is Jim Brown, who had 126 in 1965. Now, Bull, you're going to say, well, they didn't play 17 games. What does that equal out to points per game if Jim Brown was to play a full season? Well, I did the math for you. In 1965, Jim Brown, if he went at the same pace he did in 1965, would have scored 153 points. If Dustin Hopkins is able to keep up his pace so far, thus through 2023, he finished with 156 points. Dustin Hopkins, a.k.a. Alex Rodriguez, a.k.a. the scoring GOAT.
All-time leading scorer.
I mean, kickers are often near the leading scorer boards,
If you told me at any situation that Dustin Hopkins would be ahead of Jim Brown on an offensive stat category for the Cleveland Browns, I tell you, you're smoking crack.
Yeah, it's not really an offensive stat category. It's a special team.
I mean, just think back to all the Cade York arguments we were having, and that someone would
by the way, Cade York just got cut by the Giants and picked back up on their practice squad. But
imagine if in
when
July,
he went to Titans.
Well, he was only on practice squad.
Yeah,
okay.
He was on the Titans practice squad. He got pulled to the active roster by the Giants, but never actually played. They had 2 kickers on their roster. Then they cut him, and now they put him back on their practice squad. So
just remarkable to think in July and August.
Yeah.
If we would have said this cat Dustin Hopkins is going to be the team leader and may set the franchise record in scoring.
I mean,
what your reaction on the panel would have been? I never even heard of Dustin Hopkins until they traded for him.
You could make
well, that's not true. But
you could make an. I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
We didn't think anything of it.
Right.
You could make an argument he's been the second most important player on the team behind Myles Garrett.
I mean,
there is no chance the Browns are 7-3 without him.
No,
none.
With Cade York, they're 5-5.
At best.
Yeah.
I mean, shout out to Bubba Ventrone. I mean, he got if we can find it, the return game looked like he got back on track last week. But pinning people deep, like think about it. The Browns on goal line situations, I've never seen this before. It's almost like Tecmo Bowl when you pick somebody else's play. It's a jailbait blitz, like down in their end zone, and you're like, dude.
Did you say a jailbait break?
It was bait or break.
All right, A-Rod, you just be quiet over there.
Both of those things, right? At the same time.
You just mind your business.
What are you, that player on the Thunder?
Yeah.
Hello. Let's keep it moving.
We got Super Chats real quick, and Super Chats today are brought to us by FanDuel. You can score early this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. So if you're thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time than right now to get it on the action. The app is simple to use, and they have everything to bet on, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and much, much more. So visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, an official partner of the NFL. We got some Super Chats, then we're heading over to WKYC. First one comes from Curtis Thomas, who's celebrating his 1-year anniversary as a member. Thank you, Curtis.
Hey, Curtis.
He says, boys, I love the show, so much so that my girlfriend says I watch it like you guys are all my friends or something. Well, Curtis, you know what? You are a friend.
You're a friend, Curtis. We love you, buddy.
Sean Cassidy says, Brown should look to sign backup cornerback Hugh Janus from the Texans practice squad with the Ward injury.
Do you know what you just said, Mike?
Yeah, I did. He got me.
He got you.
He got me. Sean Cassidy, well played.
Got you.
Well played. Reggie Glover says, I don't talk trash unless they start at first. My boss is a Broncos fan, and he was waiting for me to come in today to run his mouth. Devoid Archangel says, if I remember correctly, that was the first time in franchise history the Browns beat the Ravens and Steelers in back-to-back weeks. Kevin Robinson says, is it me or is Jaron Christian outplayed Jed Wills? And Ray Smith, Kevin, we talked about it a little while ago, and Ray Smith said it's nice to be confident in our Browns, not cocky, but losing that negative feeling on Sundays is great. Kool-Aid Mafia, go Browns. So there you go. Hey, listen, Sean Cassidy, well played, but you're going to lose your opportunity to just read Super Chats on the fly if I keep getting got like that. So kudos to you.
I heard Hugh Janus is a hell of a player.
Yeah, Hugh Janus is
he's
got a lot of potential.
A
lot of potential. A really big up-and-comer, if you know what I mean.
Oh.
That was funny.
All right.
Denzel missed practice again today.
Real quick. Yeah, Denzel missed practice. Thornhill and Delpit are limited again. They're questionable. And Anthony made a graphic he wants to show you guys as we say goodbye and get ready for WKYC.
This is huge. We're going to talk about the secondary in Channel 3. Make sure you join us on WKYC Channel 3 or the WKYC app for the final 30 minutes of the ultimate Cleveland Sports Show.